Hey folks, so this is the Nemesis Delay from Source Audio. There is a lot that this pedal can do. And so in the interest of that, I am going to show you this demo in time with the editor, the Neuro Desktop Editor, just because that gives you access to all the things that this can do. And then at least you can get a look at it. Instead, we won't demo every little piece of it, but you'll at least get a idea of most of what it can do. So, and then the unit, the controls on the unit, obviously what's in the editor over here is what's on the unit and then some. And so you can kind of assign the knobs and you can see all this stuff on here. So we'll do a little bit on the unit, but most of the control we'll do over here. So we've got a TMG Gatton into a Strymon Irririum with no effects or whatever. So that sounds like this. And then if we turn on the Nemesis, this is a digital setting. All right, so the first thing to notice, we're going to go with just kind of their basic presets over here. And then I'll show you kind of the way around most of the controls through this first one. And then I'll kind of click through some of these other ones. And so you can see in gray which one is selected, and it's up here as well. Digital delay is what's on right now. You can see that on the display over here as well. And so what we've got is a dotted eighth delay. Couple of things to note first of all is that what's cool about the editor is it works in real time. So if you keep your eye on, let's say the wet dry mix knob right here, which is at the center, and so is this. If you watch the editor, this moves in real time with the software. Software connects to the pedal via USB. That's this little fella back here. And so that's pretty cool. So obviously it doesn't work the other way. If I make a change in here, it's not going to display. So if I turn the wet dry mix all the way up, as soon as I touch the knob, it'll kind of snap back to where it's supposed to be. So that's pretty cool. And then when you're playing the pedal, if it's plugged in as well to the editor, then you can get all the effects in real time that you would change on here in the editor, which is great. And so that's what we're going to do. So I probably am not going to spend much more time touching this. You can assign... I'll just kind of go top to bottom and then you can see. So right here, you got kind of the bass effect engine, and that kind of automatically presets a lot of these other knobs to a place where they kind of think is a good starting point for that engine. But like wow and flutter is something that you tend to have in the tape engine, but you can access it in any engine, if that makes sense. The engines are just kind of like a default starting place, but then you can alter them all kind of at will from there, which is cool. And so then you got a couple things. You got kind of a master time thing that corresponds to this guy right here. And that's where you can put in stuff. You can put in milliseconds, beats per minute, max delay time, whatever. There's a tap tempo that you can do here, just like there is on the actual unit. A tap beat division, whereas here you kind of just get the three quarters, dotted eighths, and triplets. Up here you have a ton of options. From whole notes all the way to 30-second notes, which is incredibly useful. And then there's tap 2. And so each, you can put in 2 tap divisions and it kind of makes it like a dual delay. You kind of have to know, they're all based on fractions, and so that can be a little frustrating, but a little Googling can help you figure that out. And then this kind of manually selects what's in this box, or you can just use the box and drop down what you want. And then you got feedback over here. Feedback maximum kind of lets you set these levels of like how much oscillation you want to be available, which is really cool. You've got a wet dry mix knob. You can actually flip the phase of one side of the pedal or the other, which is pretty cool. And I can show you that in a minute. There's also a sum to mono button. So if you, even if you have everything plugged in stereo like we do here, stereo into the Strymon Irririum, you can still sum it to mono, and I'll go through that as well. Output level, then you got mod section stuff. You can lock the modulation into the delay time, which is awesome. Intensity varies per engine, and so I need my little chart to see, but we can hear some of it. For digital, it's pretty obvious what it's doing. It's like darker and then kind of neutral and then brighter. And then here, the mod rate and intensity knobs on the unit you can assign to different things. And they're the things available for any engine. So like if I want this one to control tape speed, intensity these are all the different things that you could have assigned per preset on the unit. So like if you set up your presets and then you're playing live and you want intensity to control, let's see, like whatever, tremolo depth or whatever, you can do that and assign it. Then you got all sorts of filtering, high cuts, low cuts, and high cuts on the feedback, diffusion, distortion, sample rate reduction, tremolo, and then wow and Flutter's kind of tape stuff. There's filter things you can add. And then this is pretty powerful right here. Kind of you can, since there's 2 taps, whatever the second one is set to, you can set different levels and different panning for each tap, which I'll show you too. This gives you all your routing options. Auto detect works really well. You can pitch shift, you can set pitch shift controls, and then you can even set what happens when your MIDI recalls a certain preset. Does the pedal start on or off? And then there's external control stuff where you can do expression pedals. We're not going to mess with any of that. And then this is a sync to MIDI clock button. So if the pedal's receiving MIDI clock from somewhere, this will sync it to that instead of the time that you put in up here. So that's kind of the explanation of all of the things in here. And so now we'll go, like I said, we'll go through digital first, kind of top to bottom, and let you hear some of the stuff. And then just kind of click through the other engines and then see if we've bored everyone to tears for it being long. But hopefully you won't wonder what's going on. So again, here's our digital engine. Dotted 8's at 90 BPM. So you can see that's pretty useful because then you can get, it will never feedback. Then we can change it so that a little feedback could happen if we wanted to. You get the idea? If you're listening at headphones, you will seriously hear the difference when you flip the phase on one of them. Some to mono you can hear a lot better when different information's going on both sides. And that doesn't even work to do that, but we'll do that again when we get down here. Output level is self-explanatory. So you can really see that take effect once some to mono is engaged. If you pan out kind of the tap 1 and the tap 2, then you can see how much different it sounds when you engage some to mono. Versus them being panned out in your ears, which is pretty impressive. This is also interesting too. You can have the feedback happen just from one of the taps. Which is super interesting in all the modes. And so then let's give you just kind of a little bit of all these other engines. If you change the thing here, it's just going to leave the settings where they were before. But if you go here and select the default, then like this is the default for diffuse and what it's supposed to sound like. You can see that updates on here as well when I change to analog. Yep. And it lets you kind of see how it sets all the controls for all these things, like how it uses the destructive controls, uses sample rate here, how when you go to tape, it starts to use wow and flutter. I think intensity controls like something about the pitch that's being shifted with that one, which is cool. Can sort of select different rhythms with that one. Another cool trick you can do is, let's go back to digital here, and then make sure nothing too crazy is happening. Set the time pretty quick. Then if you pick something like, it's just a completely wet and affected signal. So if you want to add in something like sample rate or something. Built-in bit crusher. You could do the same thing with like a tremolo. We could, even if we go to shifter, we could do the same thing. Time down, whatever up, and which is pretty crazy because that opens up a ton of possibilities for just, other effects that are kind of built into this by accident. So a little trick for you there. But anyway, that's it. That's the super in-depth version of the Nemesis. I'll put a link in the description to their website, and that's it. So hit subscribe if you'd like to spend in-depth time with some more gear, and I'll see you later.